Ooh, what's happening, man? Uh, so I had an interaction this morning that led me to a bunch of um. Sometimes, like, I don't even know that I've come to certain conclusions or theories or beliefs or whatever it is. I'm not even aware of it until an interaction with another being. Like, they'll ask me a question or we'll be in the middle of a discussion and I'll say something just like, I don't know what to call it. I'll say something and I don't really like think about it. It just happens. Like, it just comes out. And then when I consider the thing that I said or the response that I give, I'm like, holy shit, you know? I don't know how to like explain that any better. I've said it, I've talked about that before. I'm really resisting, the common the commonality of calling that like channeling or some shit, because it doesn't feel or seem like what beings continue to present as channeling. When they say channeling, they're saying like from someone else is giving them information, they're just like conveying it or transmitting it to you all through them as uh, like a tool or something like that. That's not the word I wanted to use, but I can't remember the word I want to use. That's not what's happening. These are things that I just know or believe, and when I don't think and just I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to say this. I have no idea how to convey this. I feel like some of you will get what I'm saying, but it's not channeling. I don't know what to call it. I don't know necessarily how it works, at least not well enough to convey to someone else. But, yeah. So, we're having this interaction, and the things that I'm saying back, essentially, when I read them back, I'm like, oh, I should just do a documentation entry, because there's enough of it where it's like, all right, well then, because some of it I've kind of touched on a little bit before, but there's been, obviously, I'm always researching, I'm always studying. There's been a good bit of progress, or a good bit of like of expounding on specific aspects. So I'm gonna do a documentation entry, and I'm trying something new because there's so much of it that I don't want to like do that digression thing. So it's gonna be different. It's gonna be strange for me, but it's gonna be different as far as documentation goes. I have notes. I've tried notes before, did not like it, but this is gonna be a bit different. My notes are not like the way that I did it before was like very like a sentence, and then that was just to prompt me to just go off that topic and talk. I didn't like that because it left too much open, and I still digressed a lot. And then it kind of felt like I was too in my head about sticking to the notes. This is different in that I'm writing more within the notes so that I can say the documentation framework, and then I'm going to give some more thoughts on it. And then I'm going to say the next bit of documentation framework, and then I'm going to give some more thoughts on it. And I think that's going to work better. I think it should help me to make sure not to forget anything or digress too intensely. Digression is necessary for the way my thoughts work, the way my brain processes things and conveys things. So there's always going to be some digression, and I think it's important for other reasons that I've talked about too. So if you don't like the digressions, I don't know what to fucking tell you. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm always excited about the documentation stuff now. I started off kind of rocky because there's so much. There's so much, and I felt overwhelmed at first to try to get all of it out. And now I've kind of like slowed down and understood like this is a process. You're not going to get it all out at one time. So the earlier documentation videos, if you'll notice in that playlist, they're farther down because there's stuff in there that is necessary, but I've also come to the realization that that was done it was done in a almost like kind of not immature, but like, and not premature. I don't know how to reference it really, but it was done in a way that is a previous iteration that I no longer use. I don't use those. I've learned how to do this in different ways for different types of videos. The documentation videos are very special. Each one's going to be different depending on what type of documentation I'm trying to add, what type of context, what type of research went into it. Everything makes it different. In a lot of ways, I view this as not being a common thing, what I'm doing. And it's more the way that I'm doing it. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm a fucking, it's not self-congratulatory by any means. If anything, it's kind of like I'm having to sift through it and try to like keep it from being convoluted because there's so much that I want to convey the specifics of as far as my theory goes and how I'm building it, different aspects of it, because most of it is coming from me, but then there are prompts from other, researchers' theories, other established theories. It's a lot. So, I may end up having to go back. I've already said this for all of the videos, but I want to make sure to say that when I say I'm probably going to need to go back and redo some of these videos as I did with the dream videos, that includes those kind of first documentation videos, and they may not end up being exactly the same, because I think one of the things I also did was just kind of like very sporadically went all over the place with the shit that I put in them. And again, that was because I was so ready to get it out. I had been holding on to it, not telling many, if anyone, about it. Pretty much no one. Like, I would say little aspects to people, but the way that they would respond would let me know, oh, I need to keep this to myself for multiple reasons. But obviously now that's changed, and documentation is more than necessary. Not just what I want to do, but more than necessary. It's in a way, it's safeguarding. It's doing a bunch of things. It's accomplishing a bunch of shit. So I'm excited to do that. I was going to do it now, but I would like to get through the whole thing without feeling rushed or without like a surprise, return and like, hey, can you do this or something? I don't want that to throw me off of it. So I'm hoping to be able to do it today during the day soon, because I'd like to. It's fresh on my mind. But if not, it will definitely be, tonight. So still today, but I would rather do it during the day as soon as possible. I may even just, kind of remove myself, like go to the car or something like that to just knock it out. That's not comfortable for me, but I will do that to get this knocked out. Man, I want nicotine. At the same time, I don't know. I don't need to talk about that. I do want nicotine, but I'm testing out what things are like in this current iteration, like version of me without nicotine, to see what that's like. Because if it's better, then I'm just not gonna do that anymore. If it's no different, then I'm gonna what the fuck? Why not? Cigarettes might not be the thing, but gum or some form of nicotine that's less harmful, whatever, dude. You know what I mean? don't judge people on their fucking molecules. If they can handle it and they're not destroying themselves or their lives or those around them, leave them the fuck alone, you know? Don't project shit. Yeah. I am excited about this one. That was a very productive and insightful conversation. And it wasn't even I guess I'll preface by saying it wasn't a conversation. They said a bunch of shit in response to a video. And then I saw that this morning as I'm like responding to stuff. And I was like, oh. So I responded to all that. And then when I looked back at my responses, I'm like, oh shit, I need to just go on and put this down then. So I'm gonna. I still haven't talked to them yet. Like, they're probably asleep. They're in a completely different region, different continent. So they're probably asleep. It'd be funny if this video was done by the time they wake up. That would be kind of... Anyway, I don't know. I kind of want to talk about something, but I don't know. This is all I can think about. It's at the... Okay, so look. I'll talk about this. And it'll probably kind of get repeated because I plan on mentioning these beings in the documentation just to kind of like, you know... It is documentation, so... Things that I wouldn't usually say in videos, I should be saying. I will admit that I've done a not great job at the scientific process in these documentation videos, but also that's because these are notes. This isn't my like official stuff. This isn't official documentation. It's just notes for me to put out as quickly as possible so that it can be documented that they are my theory. They are parts of my theory, my position on things. That doesn't mean that it's all original. Most of it is original or original thoughts on others' aspects or theories. So, which is the scientific process. You know, you build on others' theories or you innovate or you express, you know, retorts. It's very specifically that. So Eve Lorgan. I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. Very, very like it's one of those things that I've talked about before, like with Howdy McCoskey, Harold Kotz, Stephen Colburn, I haven't had a chance to look into, but apparently he has a lot of like specific like physical experimentation and physical evidence of some of the things that go into my theory. So I'm gonna look into him, but it's in my notes. I probably shouldn't have read it yet. But Eve Lorgan, Harold Kotz, Howdy McCoskey, there are certain beings that are really, their research or their points of view really resonate with mine. And so it's almost like not necessarily a collective consciousness because we don't agree on everything, but almost like not an ancestral consciousness either. I don't know what to call it. Like a almost like an Akashic record type thing, but physical in a sense. Like I'm not going to the astrals to access their information, although you could view it as a kind of version of that, a technological version of that. I'm going to, websites and journals and YouTubes and all kinds of shit. But if you're interested in some of the things that I may talk about, I may reference them at the time that I say the thing, but I also may not. So I'm just trying to put their name in there a couple of times to give them credit. And when I do this stuff officially, I think I'll obviously have to. I'm probably gonna need to get some help when I do the actual documentation, because I don't like it. I don't like doing it. It's annoying to me. But I do want to be able to reach as many as possible to get as much, as many different lanes or types of feedback as I can. So I know I talk shit about academia a good bit, but there are many that are in academia that I have reverence for, or I respect their work, or whatever, what have you. So if I need to put it in a format where they I don't think the ones that I'm talking about would require this, but at the same time though, like I said, I want as much feedback as possible, as much interaction as possible, as many different responses as possible. So I can't really say that I want that and then just not do this in a way that that gets me as many options as possible. So I thought about that earlier too. Like, I need help with trying to maybe get a grant proposal, both drafted and shopped, because dude, I'm bad at that. I'm bad at all of this academic. I'm really bad at all that academia shit. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I know that there are others that do. So I guess what I'm going to try to do is find someone who enjoys that part of the process, or at least has the capability and propensity to do so. And then maybe I can get some kind of like grant that doesn't have many stipulations or tendrils attached to it. Because this is really important to me, and I don't like it being threatened in any kind of way. And I think it's potentially being used as a tactic also. Like, ooh, if you don't come around to my side or my type of thinking, then you'll have a lot less time to do your work, and you'll potentially have to go do someone else's work, which is not true. It's not true, and also that's not what's going to happen. And I don't want it to get to that, but if it does get to that, I've already decided that is not what will happen. So trying to avoid that if possible. May not be possible though, you know what I mean? If it's not, then I don't know what to tell you. Because this is important to me, and I feel like it's just important in general, not just important to me, but important for us. For us, and us will know who us is. So yeah, I'm not just gonna roll over and let that be taken. Eve Lorgan, I've been listening and kind of studying her work today. It's been resonating a lot. I don't agree with everything she says, big surprise, but there's lots of stuff that does resonate. So there's parts that I'm not necessarily going to use, I guess, is what I'll say, what I'll call it. Give me a second.